John 1:17. For the law was given to Moses, but grace and truth came by Christ. What was the purpose of the law? And what was the purpose of grace and truth? My belief, okay, is in the days of Moses, the flesh, the world, the devil, and God were all that were available to mankind. The law was necessary to govern the flesh, the human nature of the fallen man. In order for man to thrive without a direct mediator between himself and their self, they had to have some sort of framework, some structure to thrive and not by their own nature go extinct. Whereas in the days after Christ, for the days after grace and truth being introduced to the world, a mediator between the Almighty and the creation, what the law was for the flesh, truth is for the spirit. These are all based on my opinion on objective truths. Objective truths, the law was necessary for the flesh. Truth is necessary for the spirit. For the spirit lives outside of the flesh. If you were to look at it like this, you have the world around you, right? Here we go. Your backyard. You've got a big backyard. You go to Walmart, you buy a sandbox, you put that sandbox in the middle of your backyard. That sandbox, that's the fleshly world. That's the earth, that's the devil, that's the flesh. Now, your whole backyard and everything else, that's the spiritual world. And the spiritual world is holy. It's perfect. And it can affect the sandbox, but the sandbox cannot affect the spiritual world. The spiritual world has been and will always remain true. It's never been corrupted. It's never allowed for corruption to show itself. You know, hey, bear not treasures up on heaven where moth and rust do corrupt, but and thieves break through and steal, but build up yourself treasures in heaven where moth nor rust do corrupt, and nor do thieves break through and steal. Yeah, God's never allowed for the spiritual world to be corrupted. But he has given a lot of authority to a lot of entities inside of the sandbox. Gave us humans free will, gave the devil his due, but said, yeah, you can do just about whatever you want in that sandbox, but you know you're not ever leaving that sandbox, so you better try to collect as many friends inside of that sandbox as you can, because I'm taking as many as I can out of the sandbox into the truth, the way, the life that is the Spirit of Christ, that is the unblemished, the untarnished, the still holy. And so once there was a necessity for the law, now there's a necessity for truth. Believe me, as someone, if anybody knows me, you know I don't believe that the law is obsolete per se. But I will say a relationship with Christ is more important, because that's the only way to get to the truth, and the truth is the only way to get outside of the sandbox that is this. Which, hey, admittedly, parts of this, pretty beautiful. But I no longer have the hubris to claim that I have a better plan for all of humanity than an almighty God that created humanity. Take care. Love y'all. Be blessed.